I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. We are previewing the last regular season game of the season against the Dallas Cowboys. We are hosting them 4:25 p.m. Eastern, not your typical 1 o'clock kickoff this coming week, this coming Sunday. And it's going to be a quick episode, honestly, just because of the state of the season. And we're going to get into what we should do this offseason. And after the pod, we read some of the comments in the comment mailbag, which we will conclude the episode with just before after the pod. And so we'll address those, and that'll be the primary conversation of this episode. But before we begin this episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment, as you always do. We got 11 comments today. And K-Dot,
make sure Cat Williams can do an appearance on your podcast and then share this shit.
Talking to you, Joe. And Kat, you're welcome on this one too, by the way. And
anytime, brother.
Anytime. And so without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. So here's the current situation on both sides. So the Dallas Cowboys, if they win on Sunday, they win the NFC East, plain and simple. They become the 2 seed. For them being as good as they are at home, very, very important for them to win this game against us. For us, if we win, then we potentially spoil the Cowboys season. Potentially, they become the 5 seed. Potentially, they have to go on the road quite a bit, assuming the Eagles beat the Giants at the same time. That's what needs to happen for Philadelphia to win the division. This is what needs to happen for Dallas to win the division. It's frankly gross to even talk about. Just Philly or Dallas, Philly or Dallas. We can play a hand in it. I would love for us to win the division at some point. Change is right around the corner. K-Dot, this game.
Yep.
What is your expectation of it? What do you want from it before we get into the X's and O's, just as a whole?
What I want from it?
What you want from it?
Yeah, man, I know everything that's at stake as far as draft positioning and all that shit, but you're not going to find me at a place where I'm at a point where I don't wish that we demolish these fucking Cowboy bitches. Like, I'm sorry. My fandom runs too deep in order to ever get to that point. And the thing is, the ramifications of doing so and winning this game could be extremely dire as far as that draft pick looking for what, 2nd, potentially 5th or some shit. It's nuts. So like the idea that, like, as far as expectations for this game, I think it goes back to like, it goes to this, do you want to follow recent history or do you want to follow long-term history, right? So recent history would show, since the Cowboys whooped our motherfucking asses on Thanksgiving, they've dropped 2 games, and that was the Bills and the Dolphins. Yeah, they should whoop our asses again. Like, we're still the team that's been giving up 30 points to whoever the fuck. The Jets. Hey, you want to get an offensive get right game? Breece Hall, you want to like Christian McCaffrey? Come on in, buddy. Like, this is, recent history would say we're supposed to get our asses fucking handed to us again. They got stuff to play for. We don't. We actually, in the very opposite direction of stuff to play for, like, it helps us to lose this game.
Right.
We should lose. But if you're looking at long-term history, the one thing you'd go back to more than anything is the Cowboys always fuck it up when they need to.
They really do.
They do. And also the NFC East has not had a repeat division winner in 20 years. So the idea of, like, if I'm running those numbers from a long-term standpoint, that you'd say, all right, this should be a weird fucking game. This could be one of those NFC East does NFC East type shit. So I think this is one of those ones that we're all going to tune in for.
Yeah.
I think we're all excited for the end of the season.
Very
but
much so.
There's nothing on paper that shows that this should be close other than what we know about our division.
Correct, which is that it feels completely random, like K-Dot has not even alluded to, just straight up said. No repeat winner for 20 years is crazy. That is unheard of, except it's the NFC East, and that's just the way it works. A lot of, just quickly going through the injury report before we talk about the Commanders' offense against the Cowboys' defense, a lot of our veterans look like they are ready to go to Cancun. Okay, so Jonathan Allen not going to play. Well, it doesn't look like he's going to play. Didn't practice today either. Cam Curl was initially a full participant in practice on Wednesday, then yesterday didn't. Curtis Samuel, same deal, was a full participant, then didn't. Christian Holmes, thankfully, seems to be doing all right, but he's not been practicing. No sense in having him play all of a sudden. Kendall Fuller doesn't look like he's going to play. So there are a whole lot of guys that just their season's done, and some significant names in that list, of course, K-Dot. So just want to set the stage there as well for some of those guys. Let's go ahead and talk about the Commanders' offense. Okay, offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, quarterback Sam Howell, still got Terry, still got Brian Robinson, Jahan Dotson. He had his comments about what this locker room needs moving forward against the Cowboys defense. Again, a team that is not very good on the road, 3-5 on the road this season. There are 3 wins on the road. I want to say Giants, Panthers, and what was the third one? I don't even know.
I was trying to pull up their schedule to see, but
yeah, but just sort of a like,
not,
they're not good on the road. They're not good.
They
on
haven't
the road.
been now.
Yeah.
No.
And so that's a team that is certainly capable of blowing it, but their defense is still pretty damn good. K-Dot.
Cardinals.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Very early on where they were getting blown out.
Week 3.
By the Cardinals. Yeah. So clearly not good on the road. K-Dot, on this side of the ball, what are you hoping to see? Run the ball, like Buffalo was able to have some dominance against Dallas because the Dallas D-line, as good as they are pass rushing, a bit smaller, you can bully them a little bit. We've talked about running the ball, for example. Do you want to see Brian Robinson have a big day? Do you think we should attack them through the air with quick passing? This is where Sam Howell had his game last season, where all of a sudden he looked like, hey, maybe he could be the guy. Gets a year to start. So what do you want to see here?
I'd like to see Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson not play a snap. But if we're looking at they are going to play, last game against the Cowboys, Brian Robinson had 15 carries, like 50-something yards. There were certain points in that Cowboys game where Brian Robinson was like, maybe we should stick with this, and then we didn't. I know the score got out of hand, everything. You can't really, you could maintain it. But look, things have been good. I ain't gonna say good. Things have been better when we run the fucking football. It makes, as we've been saying, all fucking season long, right? It makes Sam Howell's job easier. Especially when you're talking about a pass rush like the pass rush Dallas has with the guy there in that backfield, like Deron Bland, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Whatever the fuck your name is, Deron. Oh, we got a Deron, so I ain't trying to denigrate the Deron name, but whatever. That motherfucker could break another record or some shit on us. So like, you don't want to set Sam Howell up in the offense. One thing would say, all right, well, you got to be as well balanced as possible. But once again, looking at both sides of the football kind of interacting with each other in that way, you can't be down by 4 fucking touchdowns and expect us to stick to the run game. It's just not going to work that way. So it's like, run early, run a lot. That's your best game plan going into this. And then hopefully you can sustain something if you do it early enough. If you can keep the time possession, if we can convert some of these third downs, if you can change Sam Howell needing to make 20 big plays in the game compared to, hey, about we have to only make him have 10 big plays in this game.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can to skew it in that direction. Of course, it'll work better for us, but I don't think it'll be enough.
We have treated Sam Howell, and I think it's important that this is said also. We've treated him like he's an elite QB in that we're dropping him back 4 plays out of 5 and saying, go make a play.
Yep.
And clearly that is a lot. And I think it's been unfair to Sam to have to do all of that. And so I would like us to, while we don't feel we have a proper identity with this team, the franchise has an identity, and it is playing good defense. It is controlling time of possession, running the ball, and then being able to convert third downs, get in the end zone that way, physically dominate a team. I would like to see us go back to our franchise's roots this week, especially against Dallas. Would love to just dominate them at the line of scrimmage and be able to control the clock and be able to move the ball and make Sam's life a bit easier. It would be fun to win that way, to win our way. K-Dot. That's the way I see it. That's what I want.
The only way we could. So like that's the thing is like, we'd love to see it just from the standpoint, but I mean, nothing that happens in this game is necessarily indicative of anything that's going to happen next year because we're expecting all new pieces, right? So like the idea of like the offense coordinator coaches are probably not going to be the same after this fucking game. Yeah, you'd like to see it from an identity standpoint, but I don't really give a shit about that. Just be fucking competitive in this game. Show us that you have some modicum of fucking understanding or realization of what it takes to win. And that is, like you said, the Eric Bieniemy school of developing a quarterback is pretending he's Patrick Mahomes is not okay. Like
Yeah.
it's just it doesn't work that way. You
By
got
the way, it's working though. You are hearing his name being floated around for head coaching vacancies, which is for us, we're like, but I think people are looking at those numbers and going, yeah, okay.
I think there's also like there are some of the really fun. We'll get into it more as the offseason comes along, but the some of the names that were the offensive coordinator candidates as the season has gone on, there's been some cold water that's been thrown on some of them, just a bit. So I think there is like expanding the pool to get more excited about the prospects. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, if you're looking at this as far as this Eric Bieniemy thing, you can't say the system's completely broken. You saw it work at certain points this season. It's just, if you're going to be looking for him as a candidate, you'll be looking for him with a veteran quarterback, not somebody you're going to draft.
I would certainly think so. Let's go ahead and flip the script. Like we said, this is going to be a quick game preview. The Commanders defense, without Jonathan Allen, most probably, without Kendall Fuller, most probably, without Cam Curl, potentially. It's a lot of people to be missing against a red hot, frankly, Cowboys offense. Dak Prescott's been playing the best ball of his career, I would say, as of right now. He's having a great season. Some people are even saying, is he the best quarterback in the conference right now? Like he's playing well. CeeDee Lamb is putting up amazing numbers this season. A career year for him. And so you have those guys to contend with. Brandon Cooks looks more comfortable in the offense for them. Tony Pollard, not been that good for them, honestly, relative to expectations, but he's still a guy. And then shout out Rico Dowdle for Ridge, where your helmet at. He has been mentioned on this pod. He's like the new guy for Ridge. Let's look at that matchup. How do we slow down the Cowboys? Because we haven't slowed anybody down, K-Dot.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't know. How do you slow down the Cowboys? I think you can look at slowing them down at a certain portion of the game, which is in the fourth quarter when they start putting the backups in. So, like, when that happens, yeah, there might be a slowdown. So, like, I don't expect that to carry throughout the game, but yeah, in the fourth quarter, when we're down by 35, you can absolutely see a slowdown there, right? No, I think this is going to go more into if you're the defense for Washington, you pray. You pray that the football gods look at that NFC East magic pixie dust of weird shit and say, all right, well, Dak Prescott and these guys are going to fumble the ball, or maybe they're going to, we'll get a couple interceptions and stuff. So what I'd say is like, in this, I'm being kind of serious because I think the idea of going in with the mindset that weird shit will happen might make you on the lookout for weird shit that could happen. So if you see that ball loose, hop on that bitch. Like if you like, be on the lookout for the opportunities to get the turnovers or the opportunities that they're fucking up to take advantage of. Like this is the only way you can really do this is take advantage of somebody else's foibles, right? Like there are tons of teams that we've seen even on this, the 49ers early in that game, they were fucking up. Or you see how many drop interceptions we've seen this season. Take advantage of every opportunity.
And I think there actually will be some opportunities, K-Dot, because I think this is a situation where Dallas may shoot themselves in the foot. We talk about the history of their franchise. We talk about, well, not yet, but human nature. You're sort of alluding to it with the San Francisco 49ers. They come here, expect to just dominate us, and it's a bit sloppy early on.
Yep.
Dallas is hearing everything too. We're amazing at home. We're not that good on the road, but 13-point favorites on the road. The Commanders, we beat them by 35. Like we got nothing to worry about. Like everything's lined up. The stars, if you will, are lined up for us. And so that is, you don't have to, just to be clear, that came out of nowhere. I just made the connection. But that could be something that plays into our favor, right? From a defensive side of things, where maybe Dak is just like, fuck it, this is going to work. And it doesn't. All of a sudden, we had the Kendall Fuller pick six. He threw the same route twice. The first time Kendall slipped, the second time he caught it and housed it. So you could get some crazy, crazy stuff. Road divisional games, always tricky. Rivalry games, there is reason to throw out some of the records, to throw out the offensive stats, the defensive stats. Is it enough, K Dot, as we get to our predictions here, for you to pick the Commanders to beat the Dallas Cowboys? The spread is 13 points. The over-under, let me get that for you in just a moment, is 47. So, as always, a score, a winner, a player of the game.
38-20, Dallas Cowboys, CD Lamb's your player of the game.
Okay. So there are two parts of me here. There's the part where if I look at it just logically, and that includes some Dallas Cowboys mishaps and stuff like that, I think they get over the line. It's like 27-20 in sort of a crazy game. You got the play for Ron aspect of it, where maybe there's something there. I don't know, man. Again, that's the logical side of my brain, just to be clear. So the
I
fantasy
question your
world,
logic.
the fantasy world, the fantasy world's like Dallas just all of a sudden starts imploding in front of our very eyes. Like the first 5 plays, they're 2 turnovers for them or something like that. And we get out to an early lead and it's really weird. And we edge by. Like, again, well, I can't see us scoring more than 20 in this game, 20-17. But no, I have Dallas winning 30-17. 30-17. And I also have CD Lamb.
See, I've thought about that narrative to a certain degree as far as watching the Cowboys choke, but I'd say if I'm looking at the Cowboys choke,
I want to be very clear. They
I
can.
get it, but I'm
Go
saying
ahead.
if I'm looking at the Cowboys choking aspect of it, I don't think it's this game. So like it's imagine them
This is
knowing
the game for them.
No, it's not. It's not. It's their home record. You know what it is they've been doing it. It's them winning the division, getting a home playoff game, and then botching it. Like that to me is Cowboys.
Oh,
that's
I see.
Cowboys to me.
So you're saying they actually get there? I'm thinking just them thinking about getting there is that they blow it.
No, they're at the we're not there talent-wise, but the playoff teams are there talent-wise. So the idea of them getting there, saying, we know what we can do, we're doing this at home, and then fucking it up, like that to me feels more Cowboys.
I'm more on your side of that, where I've put my eggs in the Packers basket, in the Lions basket, in the Rams basket, hoping one of them does this for us, because ultimately it's not really up to us, even if we try.
There's a product on the field standpoint and a chasm at which the magical NFC pixie dust can take care of. The magic
which
fairy
is real.
bitch,
I think District Divided acknowledges that pixie dust is real.
But she ain't got enough to overlook what it is that's happening here.
There's a whole lot required. We go over to the comment mailbag, where again we have 11 comments. Shout out all of you, appreciate it. And we're going to begin with the Hawk because he has 4. We're just going to combine them. Okay. So the first one, shout out Hawk TV, by the way. Really appreciate all the comments because they come in quick. We upload the episode. Boom.
Should we have like sounds or something for the Hawk?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
We'll keep trying it. Okay. I'll figure out what the average view duration is, and if it dips off there, we'll have a conversation. First comment, facts. K-Dot watching the Rocks matches reminded me of simpler times in the year of 2001. 2001 to me, K-Dot, I remember I'd be at summer camp at Jelliff, Boys and Girls Club, and I mean, you talk to the camp counselors about the wrestling you saw the day before, like the Undertaker, Kane, Stone Cold, The Rock. That was, I want to say, when the WCW, ECW with the WWF stuff was going on, which was just peak wrestling for me. I thought it was awesome. Shout out Rey Mysterio, of course. Peace, man. Eddie Guerrero. Man, good times in wrestling in 2001.
Dude, I've been watching it like all the fucking time. Like that's now my quality. Like, there's a video, if I can find it, I'll give it to you so you can put it on the pod. I still do. I've been known for Stone Cold Steve Austin impression and being able to catch beers with one hand.
Oh my gosh, you have this?
Yeah, Mr. X actually shot the video of me doing it.
We'll need that.
Yeah,
we will go ahead and need that. Then we got 3 more from the Hawk. And we're the second worst team in the NFL. Yeah, fellas, my dream offseason consists of hiring Mike McDonald for head coach, sign T. Higgins, Geno Stone, Patrick Queen, and some offensive linemen, trade Jonathan Allen and picks for another first-round pick, draft either Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, and buff out the rest of the roster. That's another comment. So quite a bit over there in terms of here's what I want for Yeah, I don't think you mentioned GM. No, just here's who I want for head coach. Here are some free agent signings. Here's who I want with the first round pick. What do you make of that, Kate?
I think we're gonna get more deep into that as time goes on. I think the main question that's got to exist for us is what was this year was supposed to be. Is it who is talented enough and important enough to stay? So like, I don't want to get us to get into a point where we're just fucking jettisoning everyone. Because look, if
Mhm.
I can be completely honest, I kind of wish we had Chase Young and Montez Sweat back, at least one of them, to play with whoever the new regime is. Because to me, I'm looking at like Brian Burns and other guys that I need to do to fill these spots that we already fucking had places for. So I mean, I don't want to. I understand it's a rebuild, right? But we got to also understand it has been me and your philosophy that this team is more talented than what the product was on the field this year.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you can't just start looking to jettison everyone left and right, especially guys that I think are leaders that have been handicapped by this particular regime.
Because I think QB is sort of an isolated position, if you will, I can speak to that. But outside of that, I can't speak to the full identity of the team until we get a GM. The moment we get a GM, I'm more than happy to speculate about the names that I would like. Until then, hey, T. Higgins, good player. Patrick Queen, really good player. Obviously, offensive line. We know we need offensive line help. So appreciate those. Then we go to, once again, the Hawk with Jonathan Allen, in my opinion, will be moving to a different team. So this carries on from, the picks that he wants. The guys behind Montez Sweat and Chase Young proved they're not starters, straight depth pieces. And you might even have to upgrade the second string guys, as Montez Sweat led our team in sacks and was moved in week 8. Again, I think that this coaching staff, I'm talking about the coaching staff here. So Ron, Jack at the time, I don't think they actually wanted to trade Montez Sweat. I think Chase, yes, they did. By all accounts, you read various articles, listen to various sources. Montez, I think just the return felt too high. And so I think that's when ownership
What was
like,
the return?
yeah, we're doing that. Second round pick.
Seeing the Montez rest of the season, is he worth more than the second round pick?
To the Bears, he is. Yeah.
They fucked it up.
There you go. Then we go over to the Hawk one last time. I keep saying we get over to just because it's autopilot. Last comment from the Hawk, and again, appreciate all the comments here. Fellas, if you have matrix pills that represent Russell Wilson, Sam Howell, or rookie quarterback, which reality would you want to live out?
You mean like going into this season?
I would assume so.
So Russell Wilson, Sam Howell, or rookie quarterback?
Yes.
Rookie quarterback.
Rookie quarterback for me too. We go over to Matt Regan, who a few more emojis this time than the usual lion eye emoji, but we do begin, of course, with the lion emoji, the eyes emoji, the zebra emoji, the poop emoji, and the cowboy emoji, which I think we all know what that means. They got screwed against the Dallas Cowboys. At least the referees got it wrong. Whether Dallas covers the play properly with that information, it's a hypothetical. But they did definitely, in my opinion, get robbed of that. I think Brad Allen made a big mistake. It seems like everyone knows that Brad Allen, the head ref, made a mistake. What did you make of that call, K-Dot?
For only 2 cents a day, you can also help out a fellow Detroiter. You can help them eat, find shelter. Look, he riding on a fucking high. Like, yeah, I think they got fucked, sort of. But even with the league releasing the video and everything else, it kind of looks like the Lions fucked it up too. So I don't know. It's still messing with me. Outside, I know him being a Michigander. They're riding high. The Pistons fucking won a game. Michigan, fuck off.
I will say, Matt, enjoy yourself. He is going to Houston, and I do believe he's going to go to the game when they play Washington on Monday night. So should be a good one.
I'm rooting actively against you.
Yeah, there it is. And then we have Vindo. Bro, we do have 2 second-round picks with one from the Bears. Yes, of course, from the Montez Sweat trade, we do have 2 second-round picks, and that could be in reference to trading for Justin Fields. Maybe you give our pick, which is higher than theirs, or you just give theirs back if they're willing to take it. That's if you're interested in Justin Fields and if they're interested in trading him. I don't know. It would be pretty funny if it ultimately ended up being Montez Sweat for Justin Fields. We go over to Earl Bruce. Shout out Earl Bruce. Who are the top candidates for president of football operations and GM? K-Dot?
You're going to start seeing a lot of names going around. I'd say the 2 names that I have sort of fallen the most in love with is Donna Ponte.
Yep, that's the big one.
It's the big. She's a league exec She works there for the NFL, has worked there for a very, very long time.
A
You
lot
could
of
look up her
connections.
resume. It's too fucking long to begin to fucking list what she's done. I'd love for her to be more of the team. That's also depending on how they want to build the team. Usually what you see with the Josh Harris sort of thing is you have the finance team president kind of looking at things from a contract standpoint guy, and then you have this is the talent scout, the understanding of where you're going from a football direction sort of person. So like my dream combo for both of those are Donna Ponte in that more financial role, looking at things from a big picture perspective for the organization as a whole, and then Joe Hortis, who's the assistant director of player personnel in Baltimore, who's been there for 20-some years, was a scout. I love for him to be the guy to kind of determine what the feel of the team should be and working with Don to make sure it works out financially.
Yeah, and there are also a couple other names from the GM standpoint. Donna Ponte, I think everyone agrees that would be an awesome team president, or from the financial side of things. Again, also very, very deeply connected to the league.
Yeah.
Donna Ponte is. So that would be obviously, from by all accounts, a home run hire. We'll see if that ends up occurring. For GM, KDOT had mentioned Joe Ortiz, and of course, there are direct ties over to Mike McDonald as well, which would make that hire a heck of a lot easier should that come to fruition. But there's also Adam Peters in San Francisco. There's Ian Cunningham over in Chicago, I want to say. And then there's Alec Hallaby in Philadelphia. There are going to be a lot of names. And we're going to end up doing a GM episode, I'm sure, where we go into each of these people and seeing who we want ultimately.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's when we get to the really fun part. Right now, let's be real, dragging through these game previews and recaps because we're just trying to get to Monday, basically.
It's the last one, man.
Last one, guys. You have made it. You have endured part of the process.
Yeah.
So good job. We go over to Tony. Tony. First, Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold were GOATs. Have you watched their documentaries on the Biography YouTube channel? I have not. K-Dot, have you?
Yeah. At least I haven't seen all of them. I think I saw one about Undertaker. I've seen the Stone Cold one. I have not watched the Shawn Michaels one because even though I think it's going to be the most interesting, because Shawn Michaels was an absolute dickhead in the 90s. But I was focusing more on the old matches. So like last night, I watched Stone Cold versus Bret Hart, the match that sort of made Stone Cold. God, there's so much good fucking shit from that era, bro. It's so good. I'm trying to convince my girlfriend to watch. She told me I can watch. I give her one match, and then my buddy Brendan, I told he promised me I get one match too. If you guys in the comments could tell me what I'm thinking, tables, ladders, and chairs too.
Oh, good old TLC.
I'm thinking about that one as the one to try to get them in, because I don't think they're ready for like Shawn Michaels in the storylines like him and Taker or Bret Hart and Stone Cold. But TLC 2, I think could be it. Let me know.
There's some Royal Rumbles in there too that are a lot of fun. I don't know.
Royal Rumbles get messy.
Of course they do, but the chaos as they dwindle them down, it's
watching
incredible.
2 nights ago, I was watching that '99 Royal Rumble, the one where Vince and Stone Cold were fighting outside the ring, and then China was the 30th member. Oh
man, wrestling.
R.I.P. China. It's dope.
R.I.P. China. And there's one other part to Tony's comment, which is second. There you go, K-Dot. I like the draft a left tackle in the first round and trade a second for Justin Fields strategy. There you go. Okay, a vote in your direction.
Thank you.
Which is when we get to Ben Mingo. Shout out Ben Mingo. Nice. Trade for Justin Fields and then have to pay him? Stay off the crack pipe, brothers. Best chance at a Super Bowl is having a star QB on a rookie contract. Grow some cojones and let's roll the dice. So we're getting one side, we're getting the other. One is a bit more cordial, the other is a bit more blunt. That's where we're at right now, K-Dot.
Pull the curtain back. I used to hate that motherfucker. Ben Mingo.
Oh, Mingo? Yeah, shut up, Ben Mingo.
I used to call him Mingus. I didn't know why I didn't like him. I just didn't like him.
I can tell you exactly why you didn't like him.
Why?
The man is an expert troll, and I gotta give it to him. Oh my goodness, the number of times he knew how to needle somebody, even a really good friend, start a fight, start a fire, and just sort of walk away.
But I
just
wasn't around him. I was 3 years old. I wasn't around him.
I don't throw around the term elite to just anybody, my friend.
Jesus Christ, I didn't like that motherfucker.
I grew to respect it.
Pissed me off. You can disagree with me. I thought most people would. That annoyed the shit out of me just now.
You see?
Mingus, you still got it.
You still got it, buddy. Appreciate the comment there, Ben. And then we go over to Jess Anto. Shout out, Jess.
Yeah.
This current staff has the inability to correctly scout new talent, correct, evaluate it, correct, develop it, absolutely, and this is why they are in the position they are in. Nailed it. They did not develop Chase Young, which was a huge waste of potential and a second overall pick. Jamin Davis was a reach and is taking forever to develop because they didn't play him to his strengths. They just threw Howell, Forbes, and Quan Martin to the Wolves this year without a plan for any of them. It took them 2 years to realize Cosme would be better at guard, and he's amazing now. By the way, Sam Cosme, at least from a PFF perspective, has been unbelievable this season. They literally didn't use Dotson at all in a critical sophomore year in his development. The running backs were highly underutilized. I've mentioned the only notable players this regime has drafted in 4 drafts. The new GM needs to be able to identify talent and get it for as cheap as possible. I want to feel like we fleeced every team we've traded with. I want an offensive head coach who can be a QB developing machine. Brady masked all of Josh McDaniels' deficiencies, but they continued to draft QBs as projects and would get tons of draft capital for them on the market. Think about Jimmy Garoppolo as an example. Unfortunately, Belichick wasted most of it because he can't identify and evaluate talent. Look at Mac Jones. Look no further than the Browns. For years, they were picking in the top 5 and getting no return on their drafts. This is when Belichick was coaching there. Until they overhauled their front office with new scouts and a GM. Look at them now. Same can be said for the Lions. That's a hell of a comment. And I see no lies detected. You know, that gift that's out and about. That's 100% spot on.
No, you crushed that comment. I would say that's hearing that is one of the reasons that I think is the easiest sell to me on why Mike McDonald might be a bad move. There is something about quarterback, if you consider it the most important position, creating a factory of that. I know Bill Belichick being a defensive coach, he kind of offsets this, but the idea is if you have an offensive coordinator there and you're creating something, you're really building a system there. If the head coach is defensive and the offensive coordinator ends up doing a great job, he's leaving to be a head coach.
And that's going to happen over and over. And so this is why the trend is going more towards offensive-minded coaches, as we've discussed in the past.
You can put the system in place, elevate the next guy, and you don't have to move him. Right. So there is an aspect, if you like the combination of those two things, having your head coach and your quarterback being in the same system they built together which is crucial to long-term success.
And if I can jump in, that's why I'm so interested to see what happens in Houston. Right. So DeMeco Ryans is having a great first year. CJ Stroud looks like a home run pick. As we know, it can look like a home run pick and you don't know until the year after. See RG3. But what happens with Bobby Slowick? Like, does he get a head coaching job? Does CJ have to learn a new system? How do they work with that? It's a very intriguing case over in Houston.
Bobby Slowick and Chris Forrester are 2 names that were here and should both be
every name was here.
For head coach.
Get used to it, guys. Every single genius was in this building.
But as far as 2 guys that aren't old that could come here and be the next guy and the head man that would fit that thing would be Bobby Slowick and Chris Forrester. Those names that you're going to hear us talk about again.
Yes, absolutely. And then we go over to Ridge, where your helmet at. Shout out Ridge, where your helmet at. Well, there goes. Sorry, I was going to say Penix. Well, there goes Penix skyrocketing up the boards. Disaster all around. Horns lose. He went to Texas. And the world now views him as a guy. Probably up into mid-first round now. Ridge, I'm telling you, he's going even higher. But at least you know now about him on this podcast as well. Can't help but see the resemblance to Aaron Thompson, LLS. I also strongly disagree about hoping to lose to the Cowboys when we have a chance to cost them a division title after that screw job by the refs last week. So Ridge making his feelings abundantly clear, rooting for your Washington Commanders against the Dallas Cowboys, especially after feeling that we can screw them over after Detroit got screwed over by Brad Allen and that reffing Rue. Any thoughts there, K-Dot?
No, I mean, I'm rooting for us to beat the Cowboys. I can't see it any other way.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The Penix thing of it all. I know that me and you were shooting some messages back and forth, looking at some of the deeper numbers on these guys.
Yes.
And what I'm really interested to do, just to sort of, me and you have had multiple conversations throughout the history of this podcast about
and we will
what
after the pod as well.
About what it takes to do the quarterback evaluation thing. And I think that we're going to start diving into some of the data a bit more to
Mhm.
try to really determine who the right guy is going to be if we're going to pick up a quarterback in this draft.
I'm very excited to have those conversations with you, Kato. I think we do a good job of making sure that they're balanced and we're hearing the other person out as well. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I will tell you this. I would love to beat the Cowboys. If we don't, I'm fine with it. That's sort of where I'm at right now. The idea of Micah Parsons, Dak, etc., winning the division on our field repulses me, quite frankly.
There'll be a
But
lot of Cowboys fans there too.
there are going to be a ton. And so that is insanely irritating. Ridge and I actually went when RG3, Alfred Morris, and the boys won it against Roma, which was a top experience in life. It was so fun to be there for that. It was awesome. Far removed from that. But
I have a funny story about that. Ask me about it at some point.
In a moment. But what I will say is this. If Dallas loses the division, I need to also be clear. That means that Philly beat New York. And looking at the strength of schedule, the Giants would pick ahead of us. And I want that needs to be noted. So if you want Philly to win the division, that is the situation.
Right.
The Giants will be picking ahead of us. And I want to set up this front office as much as possible. Therefore, I'm fine with losing. I would love to beat Dallas, but if we lose, I'm not about to cry about it. I'm cool with it. I'm just being honest. That's where I'm at. I want this front office, this new front office, to have as much ammo as they need to rebuild our franchise. I'm thinking years down the line. Sorry about it.
I think both of us could. I think the best way to sum it up is we both accepted we will lose this game.
Yes.
If it happens another way, okay.
Cool. Yeah. And if Dallas, all of a sudden we get an entire week of media of like, what the fuck happened to them? I'm going to love that. Believe me, I'm watching every single show, and our show is going to be awesome about it too. But I'm also fine with getting as high a pick as possible. So I'm on both sides of it. Win-win in a sense. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode, the preview, the last regular season game of the season for our Washington Commanders against the Dallas Cowboys. If you like the video, please, if you enjoyed the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do. Thank you, K-Dot. And K-Dot.
Share this shit.
Share this shit. There we go. We'll see if it catches on. After the pod, talking more about Justin Fields, talking more about what we should do round one, all that jazz, because it is a fun conversation, begins now.
Do you remember this? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Generation X proudly present to you the WWF's Tag Team Champion of the World, the Road Dogg, Jesse James,
Yes.
the Badass Billy Guns, the New Age Outlaws. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. Suck it! Sorry,
Maybe we need to get a new intro where we're introduced that way. How about that? Could you imagine?
Wrestling promos? Fucking dope.
Oh my gosh. So carrying from last week's conversation.
Yep.
I feel more firm in my stance that if we pick 2, I would like a QB. And so we've talked about, and you'd mentioned, for example, CJ Stroud being an anomaly, right? And I think that's fair, but I also think that the anomalies are beginning to happen more frequently. So, for example, Justin Herbert could have been had in 2020. Could have at pick 2, in theory. Like, he didn't, but he went to LA. And behind what PFF called one of the worst, if not the worst, I don't remember the exact figure, offensive line, it was abundantly clear that he's the guy, that they have a window that they are capable of opening with him. Now, they're a dysfunctional organization, so far has not worked out. I acknowledge that. But Joe Burrow is a fascinating case too, right? Where that franchise to me was not set up to be ready for a franchise QB. They had Zach Taylor coming in. Don't know how we feel about that. Joe Burrow plays. He plays pretty well and gets hurt the very first year. They end up getting a top 5 pick. The conversations between Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, who should they take? Both have been fabulous pros. They took Jamar Chase. At the end of that season, they're in the Super Bowl. And then there are the jokes about, if they had taken Penei Sewell, then maybe he gets the blocking necessary to throw to, funnily enough, Jamar Chase. But just to say that I think a transfer, you only get so many of these lottery tickets, KDOT, which is where I'm coming from. And if we really want an elite guy, it's not going to happen via free agency. When these players switch teams, it's very unlikely, speaking of anomalies, that it just does work out really, really well. But I do recognize that Justin Fields is a unique case because if you look at Chicago now and what they're doing, right, when he does have a good defense supporting him, it's great. So I acknowledge your side of it. I just want to be clear there. But I think the anomalies are beginning to come up more and more. Even Trevor Lawrence, no matter what you think of him, the Jaguars have won a division. They should win it again this coming season. So like their hopes have changed. So, and that's been 3 of the last 4 drafts. And the only one that hasn't is the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis draft, where we all sort of knew that one wasn't a very good QB class. That's all I wanted to say.
You gave me a lot, but I have so much to respond. I don't. Number one,
Mhm.
everyone you've named has not won a Super Bowl.
That is true.
Number 2, the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow and looked like ass. And Jake Browning, I mean, just is played above anything that he could possibly play above, but they're done. The idea to me is that I don't believe in drafting the guy, your franchise guy, until you've built up enough of the team. The big question for me with Washington is, and this is what this year has made so much harder for me to figure out,
Right. From the
is where the
evaluation.
talent standpoint is. If you had asked me this, if the season ends exactly the way it did last year, then I think we're a quarterback and a few other, and a linebacker and a few other positions away from being a fucking contender. And if that's the case, draft your guy. Get a Jacoby Brissett or somebody to be your bridge quarterback and draft your fucking guy. Let's go. So I don't know. I want to say this team is more talent than it is they got coached. I think that's clear.
We both
But
want
how
to.
much
Yes.
more? But how much more is it? The only thing I will listen to as far as the Justin Fields overdrafting a quarterback in the top 3 is the finances. And the financial aspect of it, in the sense of Justin Fields' contract coming due and what it is that you want your team to accomplish under a rookie quarterback salary.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that even for Chicago is weighing right now is whether or not to reset that clock for the rookie quarterback thing, which is what you is like. The idea for them is if we can get even similar play to what Justin Fields has been doing, then you make the move immediately because you just reset the clock for what you have to pay the quarterback. And that's been the new thing that we've talked about the last few years. Everybody talks about is you got to do something while the quarterback's on the rookie pay scale, right? Because you're not going to get guys like Tom Brady who will take a pay cut.
An anomaly.
That's an anomaly.
Completely. Married to
Now-
Giselle, that actually mattered to the Patriots cap, being married to Giselle, because he could afford to take less money because it was, hey, they're fine.
But see, the other part of me that I haven't fleshed this out completely yet.
Sure. We got
Is
plenty
whether
of
or not-
time to flesh it out fully too, by the way.
Well, the thing, I don't even know where to begin as far as the data goes. So like the point,
And we'll get into
I'm-
that too, because we'll both
it just
research
becomes
that out.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I want to reject that theory about the rookie quarterback scale, at least the way that it means to people, what it means to people. When I'm looking at the teams the ones that I continuously like, hey, these are the guys that I want to emulate, I want to do. I think a lot of them are usually in positions of veteran journeymen or picking up a certain free agent to get you by a few years until you can get the guy that you think might go up and like the rookie. So I just think, is there a way to look at team building, and especially the quarterback position, is different than it is right now? Is there a way to build a team from the trenches out to where you can plug and play at quarterback to a certain degree, as far as from a valuation standpoint, where you can devalue the position just a bit? And if there is an aspect of someone who's lights out beyond from a talent standpoint, you luck into one of those elite guys, that takes you over the hump for many years to come.
So I think I see where you're coming from, and I think you've got a actually decent example in Dallas. Now, Dak hasn't won one, and there are questions about whether they even can with Dak, despite how well he's playing, because you talk about the elite aspect of it. But building the trenches, they invested in the offensive line for a series of years. They invested in the defensive line. Micah Parsons, home run pick. So like their trenches are considered very good across the board, right? So that I think is an example to your case. But there are also examples, K-Dot, of here's where I'll say Dallas did admittedly get quite lucky with Dak Prescott, because that doesn't happen every day. Like there, for example, when Minnesota, we talk about Kirk Cousins, when Minnesota went to the championship game after the Minneapolis Miracle, right? Stephon Diggs sideline touchdown, great call from Joe Buck, by the way, against the Saints.
That was Case Keenum, right?
Case Keenum, right?
Right.
So they go to the NFC Championship game and they go, okay, we're a quarterback away. And the best one available to them was Kirk Cousins. And the expectations was, okay, Super Bowl. It has to be, because if you're moving on from your QB on an NFC Championship team roster, then you are upgrading, which is what they thought they did.
Mhm.
The problem is that there is a huge chasm between very good, and I acknowledge Kirk Cousins is very good, and elite. And they never got there. They got to the divisional round. What happens with him? We've jokingly floated he could come back here. You know, so it is difficult to, when you are building out that team, be able to, because if you look at the examples, it's Brock Purdy in San Francisco, Mr. Irrelevant, 7th-round pick. They traded everything for Trey Lance. It didn't work. I acknowledge the misses. I will always acknowledge the misses,
Right.
you know, early on. But that was lucky. Dak Prescott, I would argue there was a degree of luck there too.
I don't agree with luck for Brock Purdy.
Okay.
I
But
mean,
but in any case, I mean, the point is that it rarely occurs. That also rarely occurs.
yeah, Mr. Irrelevant becoming a potential league MVP, of course. Like the full extent of that.
That is the
not,
Shanahan
yeah.
system, largely.
But see, that's my thing, is that if I'm looking at San Francisco, they had Jimmy Garoppolo, who's ass,
Mm-hmm.
having them play for NFC
But
Championship.
wouldn't you argue that San Francisco is sort of an anomaly as well? Because that is next level. Like that is at least in this current era, relative to, it's incredible what they've produced. All these all pros across the board, right? It really is. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon
Christian
Ayuk as a
McCaffrey
number
piece-
2 is like,
I think
you know,
the
Bosa,
biggest
it's
anomaly in all of
amazing.
that to me is the Christian McCaffrey piece.
Sure.
And that's the Carolina Panthers being fucking stupid. Like that was just how the fuck David Tepper's a fucking moron. The
Yeah. Which, by the way, I think is a dark horse candidate. If Bill Belichick doesn't have a no trade clause, they may just ship him there. Who's
Bill will
gonna
never.
take that job, man? Who's gonna take the Carolina job after
There
all
will
the
always
shit
be
Pepper's
somebody.
done?
I mean, it's money, dog. Like it's
Yeah, I'm
life-changing
just
money.
wondering how much he's going to have to
Put up
pony
with.
up.
You gonna put or he's gonna have to pony up a fuck ton.
A
This is
ton.
going to be this is circa Jim Zorn is now your head coach.
He is the second richest owner in the NFL. Like it's just
Behind
going to
the
be an
Waltons?
insane contract. Yeah.
Fucking crazy money.
Anyway, go ahead.
See, even San Francisco is not necessarily an example I like to use because I don't think they've done it long enough.
You're thinking Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Those
That's
are
what you've been
usually-
citing, right?
Baltimore, Pittsburgh, New England to a certain degree, even though you have the Tom Brady of it all, right? But
Mhm.
it's just teams that are always going to be in the conversation. And their trenches are usually good factories for that. Their defenses are usually overall better than the offenses. They'll always be playing for something. And like everyone in the league, they're always looking for their elite quarterback, but they can get by and contend for shit with guys that aren't. I
You
know
could be a
it's-
perennial playoff contender. Yes.
Right. Like even I look at like those Giants teams, Eli got over the hump those 2 Super Bowls, right? It's like the trenches were built, the defense was pretty damn stacked, and they were homegrown.
Yeah.
And then you go on these runs and you can win a few, you can win a couple.
So,
And
so here's what I'll say. And again, I see where you're coming from, and we are running up against a hard stop. God, good conversation. This is just what happens. But you remember when we got RG3?
Yeah.
And we were all pretty like excited but skeptical. Like,
Mhm.
you know, we traded a lot for this guy. This was the offseason Peyton Manning was available. And if you weren't paying attention
I
to
remember.
ownership stuff like that, you're like, hey, we should get Peyton Manning, right?
I was
like
fully on that.
there you go, right? But we end up
They won a
getting
Super Bowl.
RG3 instead. We end up getting RG3 instead.
Yeah, Peyton
And
won a
it's
Super
like,
Bowl.
what'd you say?
Peyton won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he went to 2. You know? So the elite QB. But I think you'd be lying to yourself if, having watched RG3, and this is before the Seattle game, like entering the Seattle game, you didn't think we had a legitimate chance at the NFC Championship game.
I thought we were. I thought that I had seen our entire fortunes as a franchise change.
That's the lottery ticket we have when you look at this, especially compared to previous draft classes. Like the way that they're talking about this QB draft class is very, very high. I've begun looking at 2025 just in case this is becoming a trend as well, where it's like, oh, every single class is going to be like that. It doesn't appear that way, K-Dot. This one does appear to.
But you asked me that.
But let me complete it. We went from, I'm not sure what we are. We're not a playoff contender, whatever, to that 1 year we hit it. We did. That injury and his mindset did change everything. I acknowledge that. That's why it's so hard to hit. But we hit in that moment. And we could have seen ourselves suddenly in the championship game and in a who knows situation where we felt like we had a window. That's what we have the opportunity to do. Is it low probability? Yes. But that's what we have the opportunity to do. Go ahead. I'll let you rebuttal and then we have to go, but you get the final words here.
Yeah, you mortgaged an entire fucking draft for RG3, who then went down. And if it wasn't for the foresight of Mike Shanahan drafting Kirk Cousins, we're in the dregs of the fucking NFL for another decade. So, like, the idea that you're going to put all of that on one guy who, as you're looking at Cincinnati and Joe Burrow going down, like, that to me is where the valuation standpoint is. I think we overvalue the quarterback position. In the sense of,
I think that's the root of your conversation. Yeah.
Right. So, but the idea is we saw how it ended. And I think what you see in how it ended and how it usually fucking ends. They weren't ready. We mortgaged everything to go up there and go grab them. Right. And we weren't ready. And when he went down.
But this time we don't have to mortgage. We're just there. We're just sitting there.
I get it. But I'm also saying that what you can do is put more stock in the other things that need to be built on the team. And then when you're right there and you're drafting top 20 or whatever, right? You're around 20th as far as the pick. Go get a JJ McCarthy. Go get a Penix if he was to not have the game that he had and would have fall, and put him in a better position to win around the guys you have, because you already know you have a winning product. You just potentially have the guy to take you to the upper echelon.
I think we also see examples of that, and then it doesn't work. So we'll dive into
Patrick
everything.
Mahomes,
you just picked maybe the greatest quarterback to ever play. So like that is just an anomaly.
Lamar
as well,
Jackson.
Is it not? Is that not an anomaly though?
Lamar Jackson. Name the top 5 quarterbacks.
32. 32. I get it. But all I'm saying is that
Who's
it doesn't always
for Super Bowls, bro. Like,
okay, so the people that are consistently in the conversation, Kansas City.
We're the teams that are in the conversation, right?
Kansas City, Baltimore, San Francisco. That's probably it.
Keep naming teams that didn't draft a quarterback in the top fucking 10. Keep doing it.
I mean, I'll name the 2 lucky again. San Francisco is an anomaly. San Francisco is an anomaly.
I don't care.
Let's acknowledge that.
You the guys.
Yeah, but that's an anomaly. So I'm just saying, if you're using anomaly, I'm using anomaly.
No, here's
the other way.
But you couldn't even get to 5 teams that are always in the dance. The teams that you did name that are in the dance.
Because before that, it was Brady.
But Brady even was an example of me in what I'm saying.
That is, to me, another anomaly. Like, it's just, you've named 2 anomalies.
Keep saying that.
Because you say it.
Results.
We will see what happens. We got to go now. We're going to have this conversation more and more. They are. We will see you guys next time. Take it easy.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.